This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the T-Mobile myTouch 4G Slide by HTC. Now this replaces the myTouch 3G Slide that came out about a year ago on T-Mobile, and that was kind of a mid-tier product. It had a 600 megahertz CPU, 320 by 480 display. This guy goes all out gangbusters. In many ways, this is the keyboard counterpart to the HTC Sensation 4G, the flagship phone on T-Mobile's network. Quality definitely improved. The looks are really good on this, not so plasticky and cheap. Of course, there is plastic involved, obviously, but it doesn't have that kind of shiny, plasticky, icky look to it. You can see here you have a nice 3.7-inch 800 by 480 pixel display that's quite sharp and clear. Mechanical buttons down here. We've got the Genius button, something that we've seen on previous myTouches, and that basically brings up voice commands. Otherwise, this is running Android OS 2.3 Gingerbread, the latest and greatest phone OS, and HTC Sense 3.0 software on top of it. We've got the optical pad down here, still not gone away yet. That's pretty cool for those of you who like that. And of course you can use a capacitive multi-touch screen to navigate as well. Otherwise you've got the menu button, the home button, and the back button here. Now as we take a look around, you've got your fairly large earpiece here, your front-facing camera, and on the sides, nice metal looking. Micro USB port here, volume controls. Power button up here, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Dedicated camera button on the side because T-Mobile and HTC are making a big deal about this phone as being a very good camera phone. It's an 8 megapixel camera on the back, you'll see, with a pretty good quality lens. It's got a fast f2.2 lens on the back and a dual LED flash, and we'll talk about camera quality a bit more. The phone is available in two colors. Khaki, which is really more like a tan, kind of nice looking though, and it's also available in black. It almost reminds me of a Nokia phone. It has this kind of European styling. It looks really nice. And of course, if you slide it, you get the keyboard here, the full QWERTY keyboard that is backlit. It's a nice wide keyboard. The travel is very minimal, as is tactile feedback. Not my favorite for that, but it does have plenty of room. You've got a full large space bar right here. You've got a dedicated Genius button also. As you can see here, there's almost no key height whatsoever, so you can guess tactile feedback. But if you like a hardware keyboard, hey, it is certainly better than nothing and better than using the on-screen keyboard, which, by the way, comes with the HTC software keyboard pre-installed. So for your $199 with contract, you definitely get a quality piece here. This is very similar to the Sensation inside. It's got a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon CPU with Adreno graphics. It's got about a gig of available internal storage. That's because HTC has their bootloader and other stuff on the partition as well, so you do have about a gig available. It comes with an 8 gig micro SD card, and that is located under the cover on the back, which lifts off like so. You've got your SIM card slot, and there's your micro SD card, and obviously the battery. And the very large camera lens mount. The phone weighs 6.5 ounces, making it a bit heavier, but you know, it's a large phone with a keyboard slider. It feels good in hand. And it does have a smaller footprint than the Sensation by a little bit. You can see side by side here, this is basically the keyboardless version in some ways of the myTouch 4G Slide. But obviously the slide is going to be thicker because it has the keyboard that slides out. The Sensation is perhaps a bit more stylish even. It's really your call on that, but it has a nice multi-surface back here made of metal, curved sides. Same resolution display, same CPU. Also an 8 megapixel camera here, but not with this quite nice a lens. In addition to HTC software keyboard, you also get swipe on this. So this runs HTC Sense 3.0 software, and you can see you've got the usual Google search here. You've got stuff to help you set up your accounts for video, chat, social networks, email, and Google. This has great integration with your social networking stuff, by the way. And there's a widget for that as well to access your social networks. You've got controls for your wireless radios. And you get widgets like HTC's really nice weather here, and of course their friend stream for social networking. In terms of your application palette, normal Android icons, none of the customization that we've seen on some of the T-Mobile phones before that HTC has made. And pretty intuitive stuff. In terms of software, you get Adobe Reader, Bejeweled 2, the standard Google Android apps including search and maps and navigation. We've got the car dock, the clock, camera software obviously. We've got double twist here for syncing your music. Also have an FM radio player, FriendStream for social networking, standard Google Gallery, T-Mobile's Highlight application, of course the WebKit web browser with Adobe Flash, and we've got Media Room over here, which basically brings together all of the players. HTC has their custom music player here, a video player, and we've also got T-Mobile TV, which is powered by MobiTV, and that's streaming service that costs $10 a month for TV shows and like. Shortcut to your FM radio. Screen share, which is really DLNA, home media server sharing, and Slacker radio over here. Now this also has Netflix, which is pretty huge. So far it's just been a handful of phones that have gotten Netflix for Android, but this guy has it, and we'll check that out later, along with T-Mobile TV. Google Music was not pre-installed on the phone, interestingly, but you can download that, and it works fine with the Google Music beta. We've tested that out. We've got Quick for Video Chat. We've got Polaris Office, which is a version that allows you to both view and create and edit documents. We've got Telenav GPS Navigator here. For some reason you don't like Google Maps. That's a $10 a month service that gives you spoken turn-by-turn directions and POIs. And we have Wi-Fi calling and Wi-Fi hotspot feature. Wi-Fi calling means you can connect to a Wi-Fi network and use that to make calls rather than using the cellular network, so you won't use up your minutes, which is pretty cool. Also handy if you're not in a strong reception area but you are near a Wi-Fi hotspot. And the Wi-Fi hotspot feature means that you can use this guy as a high-speed cellular modem for your notebook, tablet, whatever you've got. Data speeds have been quite good so far in T-Mobile's 4G, nominally 4G network, and we've been seeing about 6 megs down and 1.5 meg for upload speeds. That's pretty darn good. So T-Mobile's making a big deal of this as a imaging phone because it has an 8 megapixel camera with a nice quality lens and a dual LED flash, and it can shoot 1080p video. How is image quality and how is video quality? Well, you know, they're not up there with the Nokia N8. No, they're high-end Nokia N-series phones. I'll tell you that. Photos tend to be a bit over-sharpened. Outdoor shots are generally pretty good. Nice colors. It handles exposure issues pretty well. Indoor pictures can be a bit noisy, as you'd expect. Not quite as sharp as what Nokia does. And 1080p video, it is looking a bit blocky. I mean, it's still better than most any American camera phone on the market, but not quite up there with the best phones we've seen from Nokia and even Sony Ericsson. Do love the dedicated camera button here. Press and hold it and it launches the camera application. You can see the record button right there. And you've got auto setting, which we have turned on, and you've got flash control. You can switch between the cameras, you can switch to video, and if you want even more settings, there are plenty here. White balance, video quality. Right now we're in video mode, so we're seeing that. It'll always be image quality, review duration. Now if we go back and look at photo settings, you've got a self-timer, you can choose from effects, resolution, review duration, whether you want it to be widescreen, if you want to geotag it, auto enhance, which sharpens the photo, and since they tend to over sharpen it, HTC does, you might want to turn that off actually. Autofocus on or off, I don't know why you would want to turn that off. Face detection, shutter sound, grid, smile capture, blink detection. It's pretty advanced stuff. And beyond that, we have other features too. It has clear shot HDR, which means it makes several exposures to try to get the best exposure balance for a shot. You do have to hold it pretty still for that. And by the way, you see the spinning focus ball right here. It means it's trying to focus, and it turns green when it does manage. A little easier for it to focus when there's something there. And they have sweep shot mode, which is basically panorama. So you take the phone and you move it, and it makes a panorama shot out of it. And there's also a burst mode, which is handy for sports. So we have some pretty advanced camera features actually here, and again, you know, image quality isn't the best we've ever seen, but that's a lot of features to play with, and it's one of the best still on the American market. And how about multimedia? You've got quite a few choices here. Of course, you've got the YouTube player, you've got full Adobe Flash, playback capabilities, you've got Netflix, and you've got T-Mobile TV powered by MobiTV, which we're looking at right now. And you can check this out yourself if you get the phone. You can get a trial period on it to see how you like it, but we'll take a look right now over T-Mobile's 3G, 4G network and see how it plays, and we'll just pick something off the front screen. And that's pretty good quality, and you can hear the speaker. It's a little bit tinny. This is pretty much at max volume right now, so it's passable, but for better quality listening, you probably want to use some headphones. But the streaming quality here with T-Mobile TV is pretty good. So now we're testing out the Netflix application. Pretty cool that it has this, and we're doing this over T-Mobile's HSPA Plus 3G, 4G network. The quality is really nice on it, too. Got a little Wallace and Gromit action going here. Really sharp. Good frame rates, too. Pretty nice sharp display, too. And now we're on Crackle.com. That's a Sony site, and you can actually watch full movies there. And this is done in Flash, and you can see we're playing it right now. And this, again, is over T-Mobile's 3G, 4G network. We've got a 4G connection right now. Looking really good. We put it in full screen mode. Pretty neat use for Flash. You can actually watch movies on this. Right now we're loading our own website, so you can see the web browser. This is the usual Android WebKit web browser. Very capable. Pinch zooming, as you'd expect. Good layout, good speed. Does a nice reflow of the text when you zoom around. Since this is an HTC phone with Sense, they've customized the dialer a bit, and you can see here it's not quite the standard if you're used to using Android. You don't have your favorites tab, for example, right here. But you've got your contacts, which you can choose between your social networking contacts or just your on-phone contacts, various services. You got groups over here, you got your call log, shortcut to voicemail, and whoever you've called most recently is showing up top. In this case, that is T-Mobile's voicemail service number. Big dialer over here. Call quality is just okay. We found it sounded a bit digitized. Calls are certainly bearable, but sometimes you have to work a little hard on both ends of the call to understand what somebody's saying because of that digitization, and that's without profound background noise either. But oh well, reception is pretty good. It's certainly on par with the Sensation other HTC phones on T-Mobile, and you can see we've got just about a full signal right now, which is about as good as it gets around here. So that's a thumbs up for reception on the phone. Other features include GPS, as you'd expect, which works just fine with Google Maps and with TeleNav. We got it fixed just about instantly, even indoors. You've got Wi-Fi 802.11bgn, Bluetooth with A2DP, and of course that front-facing VGA camera for video chats working with Quick. Overall, other than, I wish the voice quality was a little bit better on the phone. Okay, it's not terrible, but it's not the best. This is a really nice phone for $199 on contract. Solid build quality, really good feeling slider for the keyboard. Large keyboard. Could use some more travel, but that's the price we pay for making a phone thin. It looks attractive. Doesn't look nearly as cheap as the myTouch 3G slide looked. And it has really top of the line specs. Phone's available on July 27th in stores for $199 with contract, and we'll be starting pre-order a little bit before then. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review of the myTouch 4G slide by HTC.